Do they actually do it on purpose? Like, can a lawyer actually just lie about what their client said in order to be like, nuh-uh, my client didn't say that, thus you're defaming him, when he literally said the thing that Noah Samsen said he said? Claim number 4. We're almost done, guys. Ethan spreads Nakba denialist talking points. The 4th defamatory statement you did not identify. 1. What Ethan said that denied the Nakba. 2. How those points were debunked. And 3. How these talking points legitimize Israeli colonization. Instead, you show a screenshot of Bad Empanada's video entitled Nakba Denier, Expulsion Liar, Content Nuke Destroyed number 6. The Bad Empanada video, with the text debunked here by Bad Empanada. You are well aware that Bad Empanada has exhibited... Okay, so I literally just said this in the last thing, where if Noah says Ethan lied about this and then doesn't explain why he lied about it, that doesn't amount to defamation. Like, not including sources that are refuting every single thing Ethan lied does not mean that you are knowingly misrepresenting like your position on Ethan and trying to defame him. That just means that, once again, it's like kind of a lazy section of that video. But yeah, let's watch this. Let's just watch this video. Nakba Denier, Expulsion Liar, Content Nuke Destroyed. Let's just watch this video really quick. Nakba Denier, Content Nuke. Okay, I guess we're gonna have to search this up. Bad Empanada. Holy 4 hours? Well, my stream was like 6 hours on the Content Nuke, so get Bad Empanada. Let's just look this up. Nakba, the partition and the expulsions of Zionist myths refuted. Is it in his other channel? Bad Empanada Live. Nakba. This is literally not even the title of the video. Entitled Nakba Denier, Expulsion Liar, Content Nuke Destroyed number 6. That's not the title of the video at all. Ethan Klein denies Nakba, lies about Jewish expulsion. Content Nuke Destroyed number. Did he change the title of the video, or can they not even properly cite video titles? Let's just see what.
Hello everyone, welcome to another debunking of Ethan Klein's supposed content nuke. So at one point in his supposed content nuke, Ethan Klein attempts to justify the Israeli settler colonial state and its expulsion of Palestinians by glossing over the Nakba, and that basically the Arab world just randomly, crazily became full anti-Semitic, not reacting to anything in particular at all, and expelled and forced out and pogromed all of the Jews. And we're going to go over all of the examples that he uses here to justify this claim. So firstly, let's watch him gloss over the Nakba here.
To think that Jews as an ethnic minority in Israel would not be safe? After all, Israel is a country of refugees. If the Jews didn't come from...
It's so funny. Does he think he's a refugee or Hila Klein are a refugee? You guys aren't refugees. You make refugees. Palestinians are refugees because of you. Get it straight, okay?
From Europe after the Holocaust, they came from the surrounding Arab countries that expelled them in massive amounts following the 1948 war. In fact, there was more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba.
So the Nakba for him was just a war, like this long-planned expulsion of Palestinians, which the Arab intervention was explicitly a reaction to. So how is it a nation of refugees when it declared its independence and its own like dominion over land that it had taken from Palestinians, when these people weren't even there yet, obviously? And then watch this.
1 million Jews. All of these surrounding Arab countries had vibrant Jewish communities in huge number, hundreds of thousands. Now, if you look at them, you're looking at close to, if not literally, 0 Jews left in these countries. Just to give you an...
Now let's go over his examples of this, okay? Let's go over his justifications for this and let's see how much this lines up with his narrative of expulsion.
Idea. Here's a visual representation of the Jewish refugees after 1948. Morocco had 265,000 Jews. Now it has 2,000.
Okay, so Morocco at this time was not self-ruling. It was still a French colonial possession. What happened in Morocco is that the Jewish Agency, which was one of the leading organizations advocating for forming a colonial state in Palestine and trying to further such ends, struck an agreement with the French government.
I mean, so we can listen to this, and I'm sure we're going to be listening to it more as the letter actually gets into it, but right off the bat saying that 1 million Jews were expelled is a lie. Like, we can just very easily look up what happened, and it says that the Jewish exodus from the Muslim world occurred in the 20th century when approximately 900,000 Jews migrated, fled, or were expelled from Muslim majority countries. So right off the bat, that's like a misrepresentation of Jewish expulsion from Arab countries. And like we can also just take a look at like the reason why it happened. So large-scale migrations were also organized, sponsored, and facilitated by Zionist organizations, the Jewish Agency, and then they list the Zionist organizations. The mass movement mainly transpired from 1948 to the early 1970s, with one final exodus of Iranian Jews occurring shortly after the Islamic Revolution. An estimated 650,000 of these Jews resettled in Israel. So once again, saying that they were... the reasons saying that they were like it was all because of pogroms is also a lie. The reasons for these exoduses include pull factors such as the desire to fulfill Zionism, better economic prospects and security, and the Israeli government's 1 million plan to accommodate Jewish immigrants from Arab and Muslim majority countries, and push factors such as violent and other anti-Semitism in the Arab and other forms of anti-Semitism in the Arab world, political instability, poverty, and expulsion. The history of the Exodus has been politicized given its proposed relevance to the historical narrative of the Arab-Israeli conflict. Those who view the Jewish Exodus as analogous to the 1948 Palestinian expulsion and flight generally emphasize the push factors and consider those who left to have been refugees, while those who oppose that view generally emphasize the pull factors and consider the Jews to have been willing immigrants. And I think that it's fair to say that there is a mix of both. I also think it's fair to say that Zionism is the cause of both push factors and pull factors. And then also, like, we can take a look at the 1948 Palestinian expulsion. In the 1948 Palestine War, more than 700,000 Palestinian Arabs, about half of mandatory Palestine's predominantly Arab population, were expelled or fled from their homes at first by Zionist paramilitaries and after the establishment of Israel by its military. The expulsion and flight was a central component of the fracturing, dispossession, and displacement of Palestinian society known as the Nakba. Dozens of massacres targeting Arabs were conducted by Israeli military forces, and between 400 and 600 Palestinian villages were destroyed. Village wells were poisoned in a biological warfare program, and properties were looted to prevent Palestinian refugees from returning. Other sites were subject to Hebraization of the Palestinian place names. So, like, this is obviously genocidal, and even though there's, like, push factors such as, like, the Iranian Revolution and pogroms against Jews, there's also pull factors, or the literal Zionist organizations were trying to get Jews to leave these countries. So when we have Ethan Klein saying, what the f was he saying?
And for the first time, I noticed an inordinate...
What was the timestamp Bad Empanada was watching? 15:25.
In fact, there was more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba.
Yes.
The problem is that Israel's been at war with its neighbors for 70 plus years, and it makes a lot of sense that there'd be some distrust there. Is it really insane to think that Jews, as an ethnic minority in Israel, would not be safe?
Yeah, that's so f***ing racist, man.
After all, Israel is a country of refugees. If the Jews didn't come from Europe after the Holocaust...
Like, he's literally defending the ethno-state of Israel by saying that the creation of the ethno-state of Israel justifies it. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Oh, well, because we wanted to make an ethno-state and Jewish populations were, like, pushed and pulled out of neighboring Arab states, that necessitates that we maintain this ethno-state, because otherwise Jewish populations would be targeted again. It's like, they were targeted both by pogroms and anti-Semitism and by Zionism because of Zionism, because of the belief that they need to have an ethno-state.
They came from the surrounding Arab countries that expelled them in massive amounts following the 1948 war. In fact, there was more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba. 1 million Jews. All of these surrounding Arab countries had vibrant Jewish communities in huge number, hundreds of thousands. Now, if you look at them, you're looking at close to, if not literally, 0 Jews left in these countries.
Okay, so he's saying that they were expelled. 1 million Jews were expelled in the 1948 war, which is just not true. I mean, we can see that 900,000 Jews migrated, fled, or were expelled from Muslim-majority countries. During the 20th century, the mass movement mainly transpired from 1948 to the early 1970s. So literally like 22 years where 900,000 people came. And he said that it was all due to the 1948 war. So like all of this is misinformation. And if Ethan Klein, or if Noah Samsen is making the claim that Ethan did misinformation about the Nakba, comparing it to the Jewish exodus from the Muslim world, that's just 100% true. Like, let's find what Ethan Klein says about this. Let's go back to this stupid letter. So the fourth defamatory statement, what is the timestamp for that? Timestamp for fourth defamatory statement is 44:22. Let's play it.
From Saudi state propaganda outlets to attack the Houthis. He also cites a documentary about Ansar Allah, which he uses as proof of the claim that they brought back slavery, when the documentary wasn't even about the Houthis. It was about the Yemeni government before the Houthi takeover. He spreads long debunked Nakba denialist talking points that have been used for decades to legitimize Israeli colonization of Palestine. Ethan cites sources that contradict his own claims directly.
Okay, so he just says that he spreads Nakba denialist talking points. And yeah, Noah Samsen can easily make the claim that insisting that the Jewish expulsion from Arab worlds, or from Arab countries, was like a greater harm than the Nakba, which Ethan Klein objectively does, is a Nakba denialist talking point. Noah Samsen can easily make that claim. So they're gonna have to say that, like, no, Ethan Klein wasn't saying that it was worse than the Nakba, when he literally is. Just once again, let's like play this clip over again.
During the Nakba, 1 million Jews in massive amounts following the 1948 war. In fact, there was more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba. 1 million Jews. All of these surrounding Arab countries had vibrant Jewish communities in huge number, hundreds of thousands. Now, if you look at them, you're looking at close to, if not literally, 0 Jews left in these countries.
Just to give you an idea.
Okay, so yeah, he claims that, like, oh yeah, worse than the Nakba. Okay, let's continue reading this. The fourth defamatory statement: you do not identify what Ethan said that denied the Nakba, 2, how those points were debunked, and 3, how these talking points legitimize Israeli colonization. Instead, you show a screenshot of BE's video titled Nakba Denier, not even the title of the video, with the text debunked here by Bad Empanada. You are well aware that Bad Empanada has exhibited tremendous bias against Ethan and is known for spreading misinformation and anti-Semitism. Okay, weird to say. Just remember, Ethan said that he tried to make this letter as factual and dry as possible. And they're like, you know that Bad Empanada hates Ethan and spreads anti-Semitism about him. The Bad Empanada video exemplifies this point. The Bad Empanada video begins with him claiming he claims to have claimed that Ethan Klein did this. Ethan Klein attempts to justify the Israeli settler colonial state by glossing over the Nakba. Bad Empanada video okay, this is completely false, and Bad Empanada fails to show any clip from the nuke supporting this assertion. Well, when you say the Nakba when you say it's like even more Jews were expelled following the 1948 war than Palestinians in the Nakba, that is kind of glossing over the Nakba, I would say. Rather, in the clip cited by Bad Empanada, Ethan discusses 1, that Jews would not feel safe as an ethnic minority. Why are they including that? That does not make Ethan look good. 2, Israel is comprised of refugees from Europe and Arab countries. 3, following the 1948 war, there were more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba. I mean, also an insane thing to do. Like, as chat said, the Nakba happened in a year, and the Jewish expulsion from Arab worlds happened over the course of like 20 to 30 years, with a final exodus of Iranian Jews. Following the 1948 war, there were more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba, and 4, there are hardly any Jews left in Arab countries. In Bad Empanada video just once again, let's play this over again.
In fact, there was more. Israel is a country of refugees with its neighbors for 70 plus years, and it makes a lot of sense that there'd be some distrust there. Is it really insane to think that Jews, as an ethnic minority in Israel, would not be safe? After all, Israel is a country of refugees. If the Jews didn't come from Europe after the Holocaust, they came from the surrounding Arab countries that expelled them in massive amounts following the 1948 war. And
yeah, but it's true that Arab countries expelled Jewish populations, but it is lying by omission when he says that Jews came from these countries that expelled them. He's lying because he's not talking about the Zionist plan to get 1 million Jews out of neighboring Arab countries. He's just not talking about that at all, making it seem like this was completely due to a by Arab countries, and thus saying it was worse than the Nakba.
In fact, there was more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba.
Right, exactly. So he says, oh yeah, all of these Jews were refugees expelled by Arab countries. In fact, there were more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba. Basically saying, there was only one force that happened during the Nakba, and that was by Zionist settlers. That's not the same as what happened when Jews were expelled from Arab countries. There were Zionist movements trying to facilitate emigration out of these Arab countries and resettling Jews to Israel. There was no such forces for the Nakba.
1 million Jews. All of these.
Also, he lied about that. There was not 1 million Jews expelled from Arab countries. That's simply a lie.
Surrounding Arab countries had vibrant Jewish communities in huge number, hundreds of thousands. Now, if you look at them, you're looking at close to, if not literally, 0 Jews left in these countries.
Just to give you an idea, here's a visual. 140 is now known Jew. We know
their lives.
It's so funny too. He's literally lying about this map, and he says that he knowingly lied about it. He's like, after the content nuke, he tells his producers, he's like, oh yeah, I used that map because I know it's outdated, but it was funnier to say that there is only one Jew. So he's literally lying about this map as well. He's knowingly spreading misinformation.
Over in he's the
Israel. That migrate to the only place in the world that would accept them, which was Israel. The irony of this whole situation. Forced to leave their homes.
We love him. He's the one Afghan Jew.
They were forced to leave their homes, their lives, their property, and migrate to the only place.
That's literally not true. I mean, Zionist organizations worked to encourage these people for better economic prospects or whatever. Also spreading the lie of Zionism, where this is a homeland for the Jews, so you should go there. I mean, we can read about this, but it's pretty well summarized right here. The reasons for the exoduses include pull factors such as desire to fill Zionism, the Israeli government's 1 million plan to accommodate Jewish immigrants. Let's just take a look at what this is. It was a strategic plan for immigration and absorption of 1 million Jews from Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa into mandatory Palestine within a time frame of 18 months in order to establish a state in that territory. After being voted on the Jewish Agency for Palestine Executive in 1944, it became the official policy of the Zionist leadership. Implementation of a significant part of the 1 million plan took place following the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948. So how successful was it? Following establishment of the planning committee, immigration candidates, the plan, let's see what the plan was. Envisioning the arrival of 1 million Jews over 18 months was completed in summer 1944, providing details of transportation, refugee camps, and the financing required. The plan was first presented to the Jewish Agency Executive on 24th June 1944, not as an operative plan since the British immigration restrictions were still in place at the time, but as a political plan to formulate the requirements of the Zionist organization at the end of World War II. From 1944 onwards, the plan became the official policy of Zionist leadership, and the immigration of Jews from Arab and Muslim countries became explicit or implicit in all the declarations, testimonies, memoranda, and state and demands issued by the Jewish Agency from World War II until the establishment of the state. Ben-Gurion saw immigration as the top priority of the Zionist project, but was aware of the challenges of such a large-scale project, stating the following in 1948, Arab-Israeli war. The main thing is the absorption of immigrants, and this embodies all the historical needs of the state. We might have captured the West Bank, the Golan, and the entire Galilee, but those conquests would not have reinforced our territory as much as immigration. Doubling and tripling the number of immigrants gives us more and more strength. This is the most important thing above all else. Settlement, that is a real conquest. The first organizational measure of the plan was the late 1943 General Plan of Action entitled the Uniform Pioneer to the Eastern Lands, which would offer a course for emissaries from the Jewish Agency Immigration Department to later be sent to Islamic countries. These activities in Islamic countries lost their urgency and attraction after World War II, and the boost in resources they received dwindled. The number of activists in these countries was minuscule compared to Europe, where there were not even enough of them to maintain what was already established. They presented a map of the estimated 750,000 Jews in Islamic countries and noted that many of the Jews in Europe will perish in the Holocaust and the Jews of Russia are locked in. Therefore, the quantitative value of these 750,000 Jews has risen to the level of highly valuable political factor within the framework of a world Jewry. The primary task we face is to rescue this Jewry, and the time has come to mount an assault on this Jewry for a Zionist conquest. The head of the Jewish Agency's Immigration Department has said that one of the issues that came up during discussions of the 1 million plan was the security of Jewish communities in Islamic countries. In a 1943 Mapai Central Committee speech, Eliyahu Debunking stated his view that the creation of Israel and Arab Palestine will create danger for Jews living in other Arab countries. And Ben-Gurion wrote at a similar time of the catastrophe that Jews in Eastern lands are expected to face as a result of Zionism. Policies were not put in place to enhance Zionist activity in the target countries to ensure that immigrants would come. Policies were put in place to enhance Zionist activity in the target countries to ensure that immigrants would come. Esther Meyer-Glitzenstein notes that, interestingly, Ben-Gurion cites political and rational reasons for bringing Jews, displaced persons from Europe, whereas in discussing the immigration of the Jews from Islamic countries, he mentions not only a political and rational reason, but also a cultural Orientalist explanation, since the degeneration of the East was one of the basic elements of this perception. So anyway, obviously they knew that establishing an ethno-state would cause hatred of people of that ethnicity, and were kind of counting on that. And then let's just read the rest of this. It took place in the newly established state of Israel. This included mass aliyah, the setting up of immigration camps, and ma'abaro. As a result of the withdrawal of British forces and the declaration of the State of Israel in May 1948, the immigration restrictions to the country were removed, making it possible to implement the policy changes relating to large-scale aliyah focused on Jews from Arab and Muslim countries. Ben-Gurion's government subsequently presented the Knesset with a plan to double the population of 600,000 within 4 years. This immigration policy had some opposition within the new Israeli government, such as those who argued that there was no justification for organizing large-scale immigration among Jews whose lives were not in danger, particularly when the desire and motivation were not their own, as well as those who argued that the absorption process caused undue hardship. However, the force of Ben-Gurion's influence and insistence ensured that unrestricted immigration continued. According to Dr. Erit Katz, the Ma'abaro camps were the product of the 1 million plan. Dr. Roy Kozlovsky notes that the prior existence of the 1 million plan suggests that the concept of the Ma'abara was in fact the precondition for, not the effect of, mass immigration. Dr. Piera Rosetto described the debate around the conditions of the Ma'abaro, stating her opinion that the most controversial issue in this respect is not the outcome of the choice, rather the choice in itself to bring to Israel so many thousands of immigrants, following the idea of the 1 million plan unveiled by Ben-Gurion in 1944. So saying that 1 million Jews were expelled, were pogromed out of Arab nations following the 1944 war is simply a lie.
In the world that would
love him, he's the one Afghan Jew.
They were forced to leave their homes, their lives, their property, and migrate to the only place in the world that would accept them, which was Israel. The irony of this whole situation is that after the 1948 war, when Israel won the war to declare its independence, the Arab countries got super anti-Semitic against their own Jewish citizenry that had nothing to do with Israel. And as a result,
Like, it's so insane to say that the Jews living in Arab states have nothing to do with Israel. They have everything to do with Israel. Like, literally, you look up any kind of history of Israel, and the entire goal of Israel is to get as many Jews as possible to move there, including the Jews in Arab states. And they knew that by setting up an ethno-state and saying that Jews are like better than Arabs and they have more rights than Arabs, that was going to cause harm to Jewish populations living in Arab countries. And what's funny is, like, they're like, oh yeah, well, we'll have the Jews who want to leave their countries, we'll encourage immigration for them, but then we're also going to encourage immigration for Jews who have good lives in their countries. Anyway, I'm surprised he hasn't busted out a ukulele to fake apologize. Okay, so we got down like a rabbit hole, but what is happening here? 2, Israel is comprised of refugees from Europe and Arab countries. 3, following the 1948 war, there were more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba. Once again, he said there were more Jews expelled than Palestinians during the Nakba. He doesn't say displaced. What the actual fuck?
Known Jews.
Like, holy shit.
Minority in Israel would not be safe. After all, Israel is a country of refugees. If the Jews didn't come from Europe after the Holocaust, they came from the surrounding Arab countries that expelled them.
Yeah, he says they came from these Arab countries that expelled them. He didn't say that they were displaced
in massive amounts following the 1948 war.
Actually insane editorializing from these lawyers who continuously insist on changing what Ethan said to, like, basically make it so that he's not lying. They're like, oh, Ethan lied here, we'll just change what he said. There were more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba. There are hardly any Jews left in Arab countries. Yeah, just like insane lying. They're just lying. None of this denies the Nakba or downplays it. Well, it literally does, because he says 1 million Jews were expelled. In fact, more than what happened during the Nakba. He completely ignores the fact that Jews weren't actually, not all of the Jews that left Arab countries were pogromed out of there. A lot of them were encouraged, and their immigration was facilitated by Israel and Zionist groups. Nothing like that happened during the Nakba. And he also ignores the fact that it was like 700,000 Palestinians in a year compared to 750 or 900,000 Jews over the course of 30 years. And once again, not all of that was a genocide. Like, there was definitely violence and anti-Semitism, but that wasn't the main cause of it. Do they actually do it on purpose? Like, can a lawyer actually just lie about what their client said in order to be like, nuh-uh, my client didn't say that, thus you're defaming him, when he literally said the thing that Noah Samsen said he said? Okay, none of this denies the Nakba or downplays it. Rather, it is a fact that approximately 900,000 Jews... Once again, bro, he literally said 1 million Jews. They're not like, what the f***? They're like, our client said... It is a fact that approximately 900,000 Jews migrated, fled, or were expelled from Muslim-majority countries. Okay. Wait, what? Wait, okay, what are they citing with this? 17? The UN? Okay. None of this denies the Nakba or downplays it. Rather, it is a fact that approximately 900,000 Jews migrated, fled, or were expelled from Muslim-majority countries throughout Africa, Asia, and primarily as a consequence of the establishment of the State of Israel. And the Nakba turned 700,000 Palestinians into refugees, which was mainly caused by Israeli arms, which was... What the f***? That's literally downplaying the Nakba. Like, you can't compare the Nakba to the Jewish exodus of Arab countries. It's incomparable. It's two completely different things. I'm just gonna move on from that, because he literally downplays it. He says 1 million people were expelled, even more than what happened in the Nakba. And the lawyer's like, no, he just said that 900,000 Jews were displaced through various causes. No, bro. He literally said 1 million Jews were expelled from Arab countries that were anti-Semitic. That's why we need an ethno-state to protect ourselves from Arabs that hate Jews. Okay, next, Bad Empanada attempts to debunk the exodus of Jews from Morocco. Okay, I don't even care about this. I really don't care about this. Like, they're getting into the weeds of, like, a Bad Empanada video. Once again, I don't even give a Further, bad empanada misrepresent. Like, bro, it's so fucking stupid. Noah Samsen can just be like, no, like, I thought that, I in good faith thought that bad empanada video debunked what Ethan said. Like, they can't attribute malice to any of this. Like, I'm just not going to read any of this about bad empanada because it's irrelevant. Okay, continue. Like, if Ethan Klein and his lawyers are going to say that bad empanada misstated or he overstated the effect that Zionist organizations had on the immigration of Jews, they literally say here in their source that they cited that it was a consequence of the establishment of the state of Israel. And they migrated, fled, or were expelled due to the establishment of the state of Israel. Like, they're literally saying inside of that definition that they were citing from the UN. It gives them room to say that Zionist organizations were responsible for this. And we're getting into the weeds on, like, Iraqi Jews were lynched before this happened in 1947. Actually kind of crazy. Okay, let's just skip to this. Let's read the summary. All this demonstrates that the source you disclosed as the basis for the fourth defamatory statement was false and transparently biased against Ethan. Transparently biased against Ethan. That's not funny. This demonstrates you made the fourth defamatory statement with a reckless disregard for the truth. No, he didn't, bro. I mean, there's other claims that you can find of Ethan lying. Once again, you can just look at his video at any timestamp and find a lie about it. Also, because he cited a source and you're like, no, I disagree with that source, that doesn't mean that it's blatantly true and Noah Samsen knew it was false and biased against Ethan and thus he's defaming him because of the source used. But guys, consider signing up for memberships. Helps me out, helps my editors out. Only $1 a month, so it's really not a big deal. Your name can be green. That will be cool. And thanks for watching, everyone.